make more devotees and you won't have to do so much.
That's a good.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnanam Shivakaya Chakshurunmilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vandeham Shri Guruvaram Shri Rupanugapravaram Vrajara Sarasikancha Narayanam Tam Prapanna Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatade Shatayine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauravrishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vrindaye Tulasi Divyaye Priyaye Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavaktaye Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I offer my humble obeisances thousands and thousands of times unto the lotus feet of my Guru Padma, Nityalila Vishnu Pada Stotra Sata Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And the same unto my grandfather Gurus Nityalila Pravishta, Om Vishnu Pada Stotra Sata Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshu Goswami Maharaj, and Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to our entire Vipanu Vibhuti Guru to all the Vaishnavas, past, present, and future, and to Srimati Shamarani Mataji, who is a beacon of, I feel very shy to speak in front of her. I'm a beacon of the recipients of the Avars. You're a beacon of all the mercy of our Guru Parambara. And so, by her mercy and her request, I am speaking something about Archan, deity worship. So, there are many limbs of bhakti, 64 limbs of bhakti. And it says that if we perform even one of them deeply, we can get perfection. But in this age of Kali, what is most recommended is Nam Kirtan, Harinam Sankirtan. But to supplement the Harinam Sankirtan, there are actually five main limbs that we should engage in as Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Sadhu Sangha Nam Kirtan Bhagavat Shravan, Mathura Vas Shrimurtira Shradaya Sevan. That means Sadhu Sangha, associating with sadhus, with Vaishnavas. Nam Kirtan, performing Kirtan of the holy names. Bhagavat Shravan, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. Mathura Vas, residing in the holy Dham. And with faith, worshipping the deity. So these five are very prominent. And there's a reason why Sadhu Sangha is the first word in the shloka, because all the other four have to be in Sadhu Sangha. So your Nam Kirtan is in Sadhu Sangha, your hearing of Bhagavatam is in Sadhu Sangha, residing in the Dham is in Sadhu Sangha, and performing a worship of the deities in Sadhu Sangha. So that being said, I'm not an expert at deity worship, but I've had the fortune of having that seva given to me, that opportunity to serve. So this is just an encouraging opportunity for me to want to go deeper and to have realization of the deities, my relationship with them, and understand that they're not ordinary. They're Radha and Krishna themselves, and they come in this beautiful deity form, manifesting from the heart of a pure devotee. They manifest into physical form so that we can also worship them and realize our relationship. So with that prayer, I'll do my best. Hopefully this is a way that will encourage you to study and to seek more guidance on deity worship. This is more of an overview. As the best of my ability I can share. So, we're here in a beautiful temple, Sacred Vedic Arts, with Sri Radharaman Bihari. And so I'll be speaking more on the deity standard in a temple, deity worship standard at a temple. Now, one thing that gets overwhelming for devotees who are just starting in Archan is they think, oh, there's so many rules. So many rules. But why do we have rules? Srila Gurudev would explain that we follow Vaidhi, but it is in a way only the Vaidhi that is favorable to developing Raganuga Bhakti. So we don't follow the rules just for the sake of following the rules. We follow the rules to have the proper container to develop spontaneous devotion. So there are many rules. If you go to different sampradayas, Vaishnava sampradayas, so many rules, many mudras. There's a beautiful story where Shama Priya Mataji from Maui, she learned all this deity worship, and she was doing all these mudras when she's offering. And Gurudev laughed. And he said the gopis never use mudras to offer food to Krishna. But yet, mudras are there. So if someone's very fascinated by all this, it's fun to get into, but ultimately, under the guidance of Vaishnavas, only specific rules are given that help cultivate Braj mood. Not too much Aishwarya or reverence. But you still need, because we don't have that realized understanding that the deities are here, they're present, we have to follow rules properly. So that there's a balance. But mood is most important. So, in a temple, there are many artis, many offerings, many things we do that actually relate to Ashtakaliya Lila, the eightfold pastimes of the day. So one thing that happened is when I started serving Radharamanji in New York, the one thing I didn't want was to be on a rote routine with the deities as just a schedule. Okay, I have to do this, now I have to do that, now I have to do this. We want to, all of the things that we do in Bhakti are having us connect to the divine pastimes of Radha and Krishna and Bhaktabhandav. So, the artis, the first thing we start with, I'm going to go through the schedule. First thing we start with is waking up the deities. The gopis wake the deities up in the kunjas. Sometimes the pujari will give milk sweets before Mangalarti, sometimes after Mangalarti. That's dependent. That also relates to Ashtakaliya Lila. So Mangalarti is there, we're waking up the deities, perform the arti, offer sweets either before or after, and then we perform what is called traditionally Archan. So when a brahmachari first gets initiated into the Diksha mantras and lives in a mat or a temple, the first thing he is supposed to learn is Archan. Now when we say Archan, it can be generally known as deity worship, but it also means the specific rituals that happen after Mangalarti, which is the bathing of Shalagram, the installation of the different articles, such as the incense, the ghee lamp, the kancha. There are mantras that you install, each of them, because they're all personalities.
Every day?
Huh?
Every day?
Every day. We install them and worship each of the items as being part of the paraphernalia of Krishna's service. So we install the items and we do Manasi Seva. We also meditate on the form we aspire to be. First, there are many prayers. There's so much I want to talk about, and it's like I feel like an hour is. I'm going to be a little scattered. So if you guys have questions,
Just come back next week.
come back next week. Anyway, so Archan, I'll just go over it briefly. The first thing you do in Archan is Bhut Shuddhi. You meditate on yourself. Apavitro pavitro va, realizing that you not only clean your body beforehand with water and with mantra, and we do Achman and with Tila, but you also, by thinking of Krishna always, that is how we're purified. Then Naham Vipro Nacharada Narapatir. This verse is about, I'm not a Shudra, I'm not a Vaishya, I'm not a Grihasta, I'm not a Sannyasi. I'm the servant of the servant of the servant of the beloved of the gopis. So this is setting the aspiration for the morning. This is who my identity is. Then finally, Divya Divya Mandiradyatilakam Kantam Sumalanvitam. This is another verse. Visualizing having beautiful tila, clean cloths, sitting on the bank of a holy river and being at the feet of your Guru Pad Padma, your Guru Maharaj. And fully absorbed and engaged in his service, his or her service. So these are all things you do before even doing Archan. That's why Archan is very important, because it's a structured way to develop bhajan. We want to get to the stage of bhajan where we're fully absorbed in Ashtakaliya Leela, serving our Gurudev in his spiritual form. All of these things we want to aspire to. So the Archan is actually a regulated way that's bona fide to help develop that. So after you do meditation on yourself, you'll do Manasi Puja. Manasi is all in the mind. You'll offer 16 articles to your Guru, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and to Radha Krishna in their respective holy dhams with their associates there. So you'll offer a seat, you'll bathe their feet, you'll sprinkle fragrant argya, which is like a fragrant water mist. Then you'll massage, you'll give them drinks, nice madhuparka, honey yogurt drinks. Then you'll massage them with oil, you'll bathe them, dry them, give them their upper and lower cloth, then give ashman, Brahman thread, if it's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, tilak to all of them, and then fully decorate them with ornaments. After you give ornaments, you give chandan and scents, flowers, tulsi, incense, ghee lamp, then you offer boga, and then you give garlands and prayers. So these are 16 things you do within your mind first. This is why Archan is so important for anyone staying in the temple. Now, I'm not saying here at the ashram, I know we do very simplified Archan, that's totally fine. I wouldn't recommend adding that unless you have the manpower to do it and it's like manageable. But in your own practice during japa, these things can be performed. And if you have more questions, Archan Deepika explains more. So you do this in your mind.
Make sure I caught that. So you're saying during japa we can perform Archan.
Yes.
To Amangalati, offer all this, right?
Yes.
Are we doing this as a habit of force, or is it like more just like a natural flow, like our mind's natural attraction? I guess.
You will go in the order. That's why it's a vaidhi, it's regulated. You do go in the order of the 16 items. You don't just kind of spontaneously do. This is why our mind is all over the place. This gives a structure to the mind to meditate. And what I like to tell people, because they're like, oh my God, there's 16 items. How do I remember this? Personally, maybe ladies will relate to this more if you've been to a spa. There are natural things you'd want to do first. Or when you're greeting someone, especially in Vedic culture, they understand this. They've been walking for a long time. You want to give them a seat. You want to wash their feet. You want to give them something to drink. Then they'll bathe, right? So there is a particular order for a reason. And then you feed them at the end. So yes, practice this in japa is very helpful to engage the mind. And especially with Guru, building connection with Guru through the mind. Because we can't always physically serve Guru. So every day in the mind you're serving Guru, this is very powerful. Now I know for some brahmacharis and some mats, they don't do Manasi Seva, Radha Krishna in their minds. If they're not, they say, oh, you're a young boy, you're unqualified. Don't be having like mundane thoughts about serving Radharani, in your mind. So start with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And because he is Radha and Krishna combined. So, I'm not there. That's why I said it has to be under guidance. You can ask your spiritual guides and gurus for what is favorable for you. But this is the general standard that you do in a temple. So after the Manasi Seva, during that time you're also at one point installing the paraphernalia. And I'll talk about the paraphernalia, but all the arti articles, incense, ghee lamp, you're installing them, you're praying to each article. Then those 16 items that you just meditated on, you do physically with shalagram.
What do you mean What do you mean you're praying to each article?
I'll explain that a little later when I talk about arti. So after you do the Manasi Seva, you'll physically do the same thing with your shalagram or giriraj. You give them a seat, you'll put some flowers so it's comfortable, you'll then offer them some honey drink, you'll offer them argyam, you'll bathe them, you'll dry them, you'll do all these things. You give tulsi, flowers, incense, and Archan is complete when the boga is offered. So I was noticing, like here, the boga offering's like a little later than when shalagram is done bathed. But normally, in order for Archan to be fully complete in the morning, after the bathing happens, immediately Krishna's hungry. He bathed him. He is ready to eat. Again, this is all connected to Ashtakalya Lila. Mother Yashoda, when she's waking up Krishna, which is why some people do the milk sweet after Mangalarti, she's slipping in some makhan mishri, some sweet butter in his mouth. He's waking up and she says, go quickly milk the cows. So Gurudev said that this offering should be rapid fast. It's not a 10-minute, 15-minute offering. It's in and out. You give, you do your Gayatri, your mantra quickly, and you come back in. Because Krishna is not spending 15 minutes eating his makhan mishri. Mother Yashoda is putting it in his mouth and saying, go milk the cows quickly. So then he milks the cows, he comes back, and then he's getting bathed and ready to go to Gochara. So the timing is very important. The number one rule for pujari is punctuality, Srila Prabhupada said. Punctuality is first. Number 2 is cleanliness. Number 3 is opulence.
Are you implying that we should try to develop the mood of like paternal love then when we're doing that?
No, I'm not saying that. It depends on your mood. So actually, this is a very sweet thing. Srila Gurudev was asked by a very senior godbrother, disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He said, oh, Narayan Maharaj, you're always speaking about Radharani, but where is Radharani in this pastime? Exactly your point. And Srila Gurudev explained that Radharani in the evening makes this makhan mishri and gives it to Dhanishta, who brings it to the Mother Yashoda. So that butter that Mother Yashoda is putting in Krishna's mouth is Radharani's makhan mishri. So everything is connected to the gopis, but we can understand, like Mangalarti, it's a very sweet greeting of the deities, but afterwards there's separation. They are leaving each other, and they will reunite in Nanda Bhavan later. Yes?
As we begin to recognize our own Swarup, should we even be bothering to try to like figure out? I guess actually, how do we approach the mood of a regular Sikh Vaishnav and like Radhafni or Bhakti? I have no clue in my story.
I'm not a Brajra Sikh Vaishnav. You have to ask someone who is that, but over there, right there. No, that's why we do Vaidhi, and that's what I'm saying is that you follow the process. Just like Mahamantra, you might not know the benefit of chanting the holy names, but just by doing it, it will cleanse the mirror of the heart. So just by following the regulated Archan, these things will, especially when you're hearing Harikirtan, always in Sadhu Sangha, not your own speculation, you will start to see that everything in Archan is so full of sweetness. It's beautiful. It's all connected to Ashtakalya Lila. Your moods, everything will be revealed. This takes time. This takes lifetimes, by the way. I mean, yes, we can say in this life, but we don't have to jump. Don't jump and think that this is... But I'm giving you a sense of the pastimes connected to everything we do, so it's not robotic.
Actually, that was my question.
Yeah.
So, how do we do it so it's not robotic, so we develop it without jumping into...
Well, this is that's why I'm sharing the moods. I'm sharing the best as I can, the pastimes connected, and the order of things, so that when you do it, you're remembering these pastimes, read them in the scriptures, hear them from Vaishnavas, and that'll deepen your faith and understanding. But, yeah. So then after, so Krishna's taken his breakfast, Radha Krishna, they've eaten. And afterwards, some temples have a Shringar Darshan, because you're actually having to dress the deities every day. So there'll be an additional viewing after breakfast. They're going to be dressed, and then there's a viewing, and that's in ISKCON temples. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. So that's like they're showing themselves to their devotees at that time as a Shringar Darshan. So that's like a revealing. They've been closed for a while because the bathing's happening with Shalagram, and usually if you have more pujaris, some pujaris are dressing the deities at the same time. So there's multiple pujaris going on. Gaudiya Math standard, dressing once a week. Because Srila Gurudev didn't emphasize too much, again, that balance of wanting to do bhajan, wanting to cultivate the internal, and not getting so caught up in the externals of Archan. So it's a balance. It depends on your level, and what the temple standard is and what Vaishnavas are recommending. But so dressing once a week. Otherwise, if it's every day, there's a darshan for that. Then, during the day, the deities are open. Then we have our boga offering. So this is Radharani cooking in the kitchen with all her gopis in Nanda Bhavan. And we offer this, we often sing Boga Arti song during the prasadam, during the Boga offering. and then the arti is happening. Now after arti is time to put the deities to rest. Why? Why do we put the deities to rest after noon arti? Anybody know? Siesta. Well, actually, this is one of the highest times of the day is the Madhyan Lila, the midday pastimes in Radhakund. So this is a very private time, so the deities are closed.
Did you say the what? Highest?
It's one of the highest Lila, because Radha and Krishna are now only with their intimate group of her Sakhis and him. There's no Gopas, there's no Mali Yashoda and Nanda Baba. That's all happening during the day. But then at this midday, intimate pastimes are there, so deities are closed. And they're taking their siesta. And they're taking their nap. Krishna's lying down in the forest, cowboys are massaging him, and then they all kind of fall asleep, but then Krishna sneaks away, goes to Radha Kunj. So the deities are closed at that time. Then, typically you'll wake up the deities around 4 o'clock, and that'll be the fruit offering. You'll offer fruit and wake them up. Yes, refreshments. After this time, Krishna is going to be heading back from cow grazing to back home. So at this time, you'll do, some people do an offering before Gaur Arti, some people do it after Gaur Arti, but then you'll do that evening Arti, and that's Madhya Yashoda checking for bruises. What have you done today? Have any scratches? So that's the evening Arti. We sing Gaur Arti. It's also like about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates and glorifying him. So that's also another thing, is there's a whole Ashtakali Leela of Mahaprabhu, but we won't get into that. You guys have Radha Krishna Didi, so anyhow. Yeah, so then evening Arti, then Bhoga happened before or after, then at the very end, Sayan Arti. And it's usually a lullaby. In most temples, it's just a lamp. You're not doing a full Arti, you just offer like a little lamp or incense, some flour on a plate, just like this. Not doing each one, just like simple. And you'll sing a lullaby, kirtan, bhajan, and put them to rest.
Like what?
In Radhe Kunj we sing Jai Jai Radhe Krishna Govinda Jai Jai, page 152, I believe, one of the songs. Radhe Krishna Govinda, it's all the names of the associates. And Radhe Radhe Krishna. You just say goodnight, or Govinda Damodara, you can do anything, simple. Yeah, so that is a typical schedule in the temple. Any questions about that specifically?
Actually, what I can see being easiest for us to implement would be like 1 or 2 steps.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining right now, actually, it's the idea of singing to them at nighttime while going to sleep. And then what's another one that we could do? Actually, what's one thing we could do midday when we do the offering, and what's one thing we could do in the morning?
In the morning. Well, I would say putting them to rest after the Bhoga offering is important. I did notice that they weren't put to sleep. They were just closed. But like I said, it's a nice time for the pujari especially, you've given Bhoga and now you're putting them to rest. Then they'll be woken up a little later. Unless you want to give darshan all the time, that's up to Didi.
How do you put them to rest, you were saying?
There are mantras. They're on the Archan Tipika. There are mantras. You don't have to put all the blankets out and the bed out during the day. That's for nighttime. But just simply removing their flutes and saying a prayer. Vaikanas Maharaj told me this. Sripad Vaikanas Maharaj said that back in the day they didn't have mantras. Srila Prabhupada kept the Archan very simple, and they would stand in front of the deities and go, "My dear sir, please leave your rest." So if you don't know the Sanskrit, this is also for people who don't have diksha. In your own home, you want to be able to relate to them, so even using the same prayer in English in a basic way with your moods and heart and sincerity, you can say that. So then, but there are mantras. Agacha Sayan Sthanam Priya Visa. It's all on those note cards.
Is there a song we could sing as a group?
Over the evening. Well,
even in the next, so for us, we're such a young song.
Yashomati Nandana would be the song you sing for Arti in the midday.
Okay, we do. Okay.
And Jaya Radha Madhava.
We do that. Great. Then we can just stick for that, and we'll just have the pujari.
Put him to rest afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what you would normally do. And if you don't want to do the full articles, you can sing the song at least Srila Gurudev said you shouldn't do the arti longer than the song takes to be finished. So in some temples it's like 40-minute arti, right? And Gurudev would say, why are you making Krishna stand so long? You're making him stand. Like imagine if someone comes at your doorstep and you're giving arti. Oh, but wait, I want to give you this. And wait, if you're taking so long, you're like, can I sit down? Like I just want to relax and I want to have my food. So we have that mood like where the articles are very important and sweet, but we're doing it not to be a show, to see like, look at me, I'm a great pujari, or to be like, look how fancy I'm doing it. We're doing it for them, so we're thinking about them the whole time. What do they want? They want it sweet, simple, soft. That way it's cultivating Braj mood. If you're doing it long, it's like getting into Ashvarya Vaikuntha where Krishna sits all day and he's being fanned all day. You know, it's like, sorry.
Gurudev said it when somebody is taking a long time and doing a very fancy thing with the chamara. He said, Krishna is thinking, I'm hungry and this person is doing exercises? I'm hungry.
There we go.
Isn't there a song though, like Boga? There's a Boga artist song as well, isn't there?
Yeah, so that's during the Boga offering. When deities are closed and eating, you would sing Bhaja Bhagata Vatsala Shri Gora Hari. Yeah. Sometimes the pujari will do that. Pujari will do the offering, do his anik, doing those prayers, and then he'll sing. He or she will sing while they're waiting for the deities to take. Now, one thing about offerings that I've learned is, like I said, with the sweet offering should be very short. Boga offering should be long, because that's one of the biggest offerings, right? So it should be at least 10 minutes for the deities, and then 5 minutes or more for Guru and Vaishnavas to take. Whereas, but if you're only offering fruit, don't make it a 20-minute offering. You're going to get flies all over the plate, and it's just going to be sitting there. So you have to think, all these rules and moods are there to make you think about them, really care about them. You shouldn't make the offering so early that it gets cold. It should go right on hot for the deities. Things like that. Like we start, like Radharani also always has hot milk at night. Always. In temples, she has to have hot milk every night. That's something that I've learned. And
Could you repeat that?
Srimati Radhika, they always offer hot milk at night in temples in the evening. Very important. And in general, like I know dairy is there's a big questions about dairy in the West, and we don't have the best standards sometimes, but for Krishna, specifically for the deities, having butter, milk, ghee, even if it's a himsa or very small amounts on their plate, very important to always give them. And plant-based does not replace. It just doesn't. Krishna is not a plant-based butter thief. He's a real butter thief, huh?
Is it enough?
All the whole box.
Oh, okay.
Do the whole box if you can. Thank you. Yeah, what else? So yeah, depending on what the offering is, short or longer, you have to be in tune, right? If you're waiting that long, the milk's getting cold and just letting it sit there. It's like these are things that you get chastised by Vaishnavas for not thinking about it. So that's the daily schedule. Now, let's get into arti.
I was just one question.
Yeah.
Just about when you put deities to sleep.
Yeah.
What's that process of putting them to bed?
You're gonna put a bed in front of them.
Yeah.
You'll remove basic ornaments. If they have garlands, you should take off their garlands.
Yeah.
Any kind of flowers, you should remove. Keep the tulsis on Shalagam. You don't take off tulsi from Shalagam until you bathe him next. He is very angry without tulsi. Don't take it off. But any other excess things, you're gonna clean, and you'll cover sometimes.
I'm only just talking because I only have like one. I have like a few shadow.
Well, let me just say for everybody too, you'll put blankets on them, shawls, or you can just place them down and they'll put it on themselves if they want. You can place it before. Temple Seva is with Temple Pujari Seva. After you put them to sleep, there are prayers in Archan Deepika of forgiveness. You ask forgiveness for any mistakes you make that day, and it's very sweet. It says, despite all my faults, may my voice always be used in glorification of you. May my thoughts always be in service to you. Let that be my main disposition, despite any shortcomings. So very beautiful meditations that you can do at the end of the night. Yeah.
In terms of timing, if it's like different times, is that really offensive? Like sometimes, if I put my deities to bed at different times, is that really offensive? Or is that okay?
No, it's your personal deity. So that's ideally You
What
want
time
to
does
set up
Krishna-
your life in a way that matches with the program that the Vaishnavas have done, which is Ashtakali Leela.
What time does
Waking
Krishna
up
live?
early. You know, all of this, they have this schedule. They rest after lunch. We see our Guru Parampara does that, but it's divinely connected. So the more we can align our daily schedule to that, is great. But if you're doing seva, book distribution, doing your stuff, you have to be practical. Putting them to rest at different times is not going to make him upset. Main thing is Shalagram always is Tulsi, and you don't touch him with your left hand. Ever. That's it. Tulsi and Chandan, he's
You don't
happy.
touch what with your left hand?
You'd never touch Shalagram with your left hand. So if you're dealing with Shalagram, you have a cloth on your left hand, and you touch with your right. And if you're drying him and stuff, always covering, you don't touch him with your left. Giriraj is different. Giriraj, you can touch both hands, no problem.
Why is that?
Shalagram is the oldest deity worship ever. Like, he's the first, you know, and he's like Narayan. So Narayan is, there's more rules, more Vaidya is necessary for Shalagram worship. Giriraj Shila is, we were talking about the type of Giriraj, Girirani, Giriraj, Radha, Krishna, Gopi, devotee, Bhagavan, a lot of the tapas they have Giriraj. So in a Brajman, you can hold with both hands, no problem. It's just what it is. He's very merciful. Govardhan's merciful. Shalagram is merciful, but you better be on your toes, because he can also curse you if you do bad things. Govardhan doesn't give curse. Yeah.
If we worship Giriraj, should we worship Giriraj in the same way we do Archan and everything for
Yes.
deities?
Yes.
Okay.
In our line, we use, so I was looking at Archan Deepika. Here they have like a prayer like Om Govardhanaya Namaha or something. But when I've seen devotees worship Govardhan, it's, you use the Radha Krishna Bij mantra for Giriraj.
It's in there too. I found one time in there when I was searching for the Giriraj.
Yes, sometimes,
it
but
says-
other parts
yeah.
they say Govardhan Namaha, but
So, yeah.
mostly no, we worship as Radha Krishna. Radha
Okay.
Krishna, yeah, prayer.
It might be a very stupid question, but like when I was looking through that book, it says that in the Archanam cup we should put tulasi. But why is that? Why do we put tulasi in the Archanam cup? Like
In what?
in the Archanam Dipika book.
Not our Achman cup. In the deity Achman cup.
Oh, so that means the Archanam cup doesn't mean that. Okay.
So the deities, as we have on the altar, you have one Achman cup for the jivas,
Yeah.
and you have one for the deities. Because your Achman has two meanings. We do Achman, we do the mantras Om Keshavaya Namah, that's to purify. But Achman for them is mouthwash. You're washing out their mouth. You're providing water for them. So Tulsi, having that is fine. I don't normally put Tulsi in Achman, just personally, as a pujari. I don't put Tulsi in the Achman. It can get a little bit like strange if it sits there and it's not, you know, it's just,
So that's what it
I
is. When,
learned it that way. I have flowers, I put a little petals when I'm installing, there's petals inside the deity Achman.
so that's just mouthwash, yeah. The wood.
Yeah, it's mouthwash. You're giving them, after they eat, you give Achman. It's for them to wash their mouth out, just like we do.
Because you know when you go to like South India and like you go to like these like Sri Sampradaya temples, like very ancient, and they have all this like they do like all this water like with the deities, like the water they do like look really elaborately. What is that? Is that just different kinds of mouth? They do like lots
Maybe
of.
they're washing their feet and their hands and their face. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what the Sri Sampradaya does, but that's what I'm saying is we do very simple. Other Sampradayas, there's so many things they do
Yeah.
that I don't really know.
Yeah, I was just curious what
And
it was.
speaking of which, because you asked this question earlier, it's a good question. Where do we get all of our Archan rules from? So there's a few places. Gopal Guru Goswami, who was, you know, the kid who told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why are you holding your tongue, chanting the holy names? He, an associate of Puri Dham, his lineage with Dhyan Chandra Goswami established the Archan rules for our Gaudiya Sampradaya. So that's not directly our line. We come from Rupa Goswami. So in a way, we're the more ascetic, renunciant lineage. So bhajan is more prominent than Archan. But we still follow everything that Gopal Guru Goswami has given. And some of the rules are also from Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who was in the Sri Sampradaya before he came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, his uncle, and him. They worshipped Ranganathji in Sri Rangam in South India. So there is some crossover. But then, you know, sometimes pujaris in in ISKCON went to the Sri Sampradaya to learn more, but then it gets too much into Ashwarya because their main Ishtadev is Lakshmi Narayan, not Radha Krishna.
Didn't Srila Prabhupada, he said that deity worship should be done in Aishwarya mood for like
Yes.
we should see the deities as like in the mood, we should worship like Lakshmi Narayan, he said that.
Yeah.
But internally, obviously,
I mean, again, it's dependent on the qualification of the person, but we should have the on reverence like Lakshmi Narayan when we're first worshipping. But ultimately, we should be following all these things to develop that Braj mood, and that's what Gurudev came to install more. First, it was like, don't be a dirty hippie, properly be clean, serve them as God. Don't think that you're Mother Yashoda, right? Like, we can't jump. But then, as we hear Harikatha, we want to understand why we're doing it. We're not just doing it to be opulent and have that distance. We want them to be our closest best friends and, intimate. So it's a progress. I don't have an answer. It's all very individual. It's all very individual. But that's why deity worship has more rules, than internal bhajan, because there has to be some on reverence with deities. That's just part of it. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to Arti quickly. So the items you use, incense. I'm going to read some prayers about the items because it's really cool that each one has. Oh my God, here we go. Good, I found it. So you say these when you're doing the installation process, but just so you get an idea, every paraphernalia, I have no idea what time it is, by the way.
It's 10:20.
It's only 10:20? No, I don't believe it, really. Okay. So each personality...
it's not, it's 10 to... Oh.
I was just saying it so she would keep going.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, no, I do want to know the time. Okay, so, incense. Vanaspati rasotpano gandha dyogandha uttama agraya sarvadevanam dhupoyam pratigriyatam. O Bhagavan, the incense, having been obtained from the sap of the king of trees, is endowed with the best of fragrances. Please accept this fragrant incense, which is very sweet smelling to the demigod. So that's a prayer. Another prayer, the ghee lamp. O Bhagavan, this lamp is endowed with immense effulgence. It removes all darkness and illuminates both internally and externally. Please accept this lamp. Then we have many prayers to the Panchajanya, the Kansha. Krishna's personal Kansha is called Panchajanya. And I love this because it says, I offer pranam unto you, O Panchajanya. Your roaring sound shatters into thousands of pieces the wombs of the demons' wives in the lower planetary system.
Oh, wow.
So, praying to all of the items, but then there's a deeper meaning, which is more rasik. So there we have that, and then the more rasik. So incense, ghee lamp, kansha water, handkerchief, flowers, chamara, peacock fan, regular fan also, and then you can blow the kansha. Some temples blow kansha first and last. Some temples just at the end. When people first ask about Archan, you're offering all the 5 elements to the divine couple. You're offering earth, which is the incense. You're offering fire. You're offering water. You're offering air and ether. And offering flowers also, and things like that. So these are offering of the senses. Sometimes we see our ghee lamp has 5 little receptacles. 5 senses. I'm offering my 5 senses. I'm offering my 5 life airs. I'm offering, so there's many meditations, yeah?
What is the ether that we're offering?
The kansha.
What is the air? That's not air? Oh, is the air?
Air is the fan.
Oh.
Okay. Ether, you need space to create sound. So the kansha is the ether. But, now this is my favorite part, because that's like, okay, that's nice, it's intellectual, it's scientific. But let's get into the Braj mood. Incense, when you're doing incense, now I've heard some people draw ohms in this while they do it, which is really sweet. When we're supposed to offer, some people say offer to the nose, some people to the feet, because you don't want incense in your face, right? It's like, whoa, you have it at your feet and then the fragrance rises up. But when you're doing it, you're creating circles, and you're asking, may I be bound to you? Arati means, when will rati come? Means come. Rati is attachment. So when we do arati, we're praying for this attachment to the deity. So every item we're using is a prayer and aspiration that we can be part of their pastimes and connected. So it's all meditation. Bhakti is so sweet. So we have the incense, we pray, may I be bound to you like this incense that's swirling around your feet. May I always be with you. Now the ghee lamp, we offer this in Diwali and many festivals. It's representative of the soul and our heart. That's like fire, our life force. Fire, like Gurudev would say, a candle goes up and the fire flame wants to reach to the sun. So similarly, the ghee lamp, we're offering our life, everything, our heart, and trying to, we're offering that part of us. That's one explanation. And then, of course, in Leelas, the gopis are checking for things and having that sweet pastime of in the nighttime in the Mangalarti, Lalita Devi's checking before they have to leave. So that's more of a pastime thing. Water, now the concha is always considered pure. That's why we put it back on the arti tray. Everything else, when you offer, you take off the arti tray. Incense you offer, you take it off the arti tray. Ghee lamp you offer, you take it off the arti tray. Water, you put it back on the tray because the panchajanya, the concha is always pure. It never needs to be washed, technically, unless it's like dirty. It's always pure. So that meditation is, may I have pure tears to offer you. And when we're offering the concha, we're washing their faces, right? We offer and then we throw into the throw-out pot. But we're saying, may it be our tears that wash your face. May our tears be the one so that's another meditation. Also a meditation on inviting them into the water sports pastimes. When you bring the water before them, especially Nunarti, Radhakund. Okay, here, this is the concha. Now you'll be performing your Jal Kevi pastimes. Okay, and then we have handkerchief, which is wiping their faces. And then a flower represents also what we want our heart to become. Soft and sweet and fragrant. Offering of the self. So the flowers come. Some people do 2 handkerchiefs. One for all Radha Krishna, one for gurus. And some people do 2 plates of flowers. One for Radha Krishna, one for guru. Because you're offering the flowers to the feet, generally speaking. So it's kind of, Gurudev doesn't want the flowers you just offer to Radha Krishna to now go to his feet. Right, so in that way. But one thing is important not to do too complicated also. Like I asked Vaishnavas this and they're like, just do 1 plate. Don't make it complicated also. But understand why there is sometimes two plates and 2 handkerchiefs. Then we have, so we have flowers. Then chamra. So the chamra, like Didi said, you don't want to swirl it around and do so many crazy things with it. One of the meditations I've heard is Lalita Devi, she likes to use the chamra. And she's meditating on removing any obstacles for Radha and Krishna to meet. She's removing all the obstacles. So that meditation is, may I be part of the service of removing any obstacles of Radha and Krishna's meeting. May I be part of that and remove any difficulty for my Swamini and my Krishna for meeting. These are more deep esoteric things. And then the peacock fan is only given to Radha Krishna. Krishna specifically, but also Radha Krishna is okay. You don't give it to, Nrsingadev or any other, you give it to Krishna. Maybe in other temples they do, but we have a Madhurya kind of conception with the peacock fan. And peacock fan is considered like Madhurya Ras also. Krishna offers his whole crown to Radha and his feet. What is it? Smara Gadala Kandanam Mamasi Mandanam. Dehi Pada Palavam.
Mama Sirasi Mandaram.
Oh yeah, Mama Sirasi Mandaram Dehi Pada Palavam Udaram. So Krishna and Gita Govinda is offering his crown. So when he sees the peacock feather, he thinks of Radharani, that I'm conquered by her because I put my head to her. When he sees the peacock fan, he's very happy. And peacocks also like to dance. So some people fan the peacock. The peacock fan is not a fan. It's more of a udipan for them, stimulation. So I like to fan like a peacock, because when the peacocks dance, the rain clouds come. There's many sweet pastimes of even Radha Krishna dancing as peacocks. So that's just one thing.
Also, like when you do that, you move Radharani's fragrance over to Krishna.
Right. So soft. You don't want to whip it. That's what the fan after is for, is to create wind. So that's another thing, yeah.
You mentioned the flowers. What do they symbolize? The fragrance and the softness of heart.
Yeah, you're aspiring to be like a flower. So Premananda Prabhuji, he always says that flowers are sadhus because they're soft, they're sweet, and they're already ready to be offered to Radha and Krishna. We're not ready to be offered to Radha and Krishna. So we're praying to become like the flower. If you said you like doing garlands. If you did garlands every day for hours, all you could think about are flowers and garlands, and you'll become soft and sweet and natured like the flower. That's just the nature of flowers. They're beautiful. So yeah, by offering them.
And that goes to waste the feet, right, when you offer it?
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean,
It depends where you put it, yeah.
you can put them everywhere also, but that's usually for decoration time. It's different than just offering and doing the arti. Arti's like at the feet, but you know, when you're decorating, it's different. Okay, so that's.
Is it bona fide to give the peacock fan to Sachinandan Godhari?
That's a good question. Shammai?
I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, I've heard not, but I've also heard I've heard both.
Oh,
So
okay,
I'm also not too sure.
Well,
But generally, we never put a peacock feather on Sachinandan Gaurhari in his turban.
Okay.
Because he's in a mood of a devotee. He's trying to experience Ashray Tattva, him being not the object of service. The minute you put peacock feather on him, he's the nayak, the dancer, the lover. That is not what he's trying to experience as Sachinandan Gaurhari. So many times people put peacock feather on Mahaprabhu, but that's not his mood. That's not what he wants to taste. So we don't want to mix rasa bas. In Gurudev, he said in my own house, we had all the deities everywhere. We had Jagannath, Subhadra, Gopal, the Shringadev, and we had them all kind of together. And he said there should be some separation, some pillar, some prakosht. This word prakosht, Gurudev described means when you see at big temples, Radha Krishna have their own altar, Gaurnitai have their own altar, Jagannath, Subhadra have their own altar. You don't want to mix the moods, because if you're actually going deeper into it, you're aspiring to be part of that. And if you're having everybody together, it's not one-pointed. It's not proper for meditation, and they don't like it also. Mixing moods. So that's important. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I've covered everything. What time is it really? I actually don't have to do time because I think it feels like it's over.
It's 10 to 11. Can you talk about the cleanliness aspect?
The cleanliness aspect. In what ways?
Why it's important, how clean. Like, I didn't know I was supposed to be that clean.
Okay, yeah, cleanliness is very important. The external cleanliness is going to help the internal cleanliness with deity worship. Obviously, you have to bathe. You should wear clean cloth. Now, cotton, if you want to get really strict, there's a lot of rules. That's why I feel it's a big mountain if you get going on the rules. But silk never gets dirty. If you're wearing silk, it can never get dirty. But cotton, if you're wearing cotton, the second you take it off, it's unclean, technically.
Oh.
Yes.
Why?
This is just the rules. I don't know.
It's to do with the stitching or something, no?
No, it's just the rules. I don't know. I really don't know. But I'll tell you what mats do. Mats, usually the pujari will have his or her, usually it's a him because it's the mat, their pujari cloth specifically. So they're not doing other seva in this cloth. They have it in their room and they do other services. When they do pujari seva, they put that on and then they take it off immediately after and they'll reuse it. That's one standard. They'll reuse it but you shouldn't, you shouldn't take too long in reusing the same thing. But I'm just saying the standards can be really high. Ladies should wear only sari. That's kind of like what I grew up with in the standard. Punjabi suit, definitely not. That's not devotional clothing, technically, for the altar. But sari is good. In informal, we can wear skirt and all that, but usually sari is preferred. Some temples cover the head for the ladies. Others don't. I've seen the more modern approach is the ladies don't cover their head. I like to cover my head because it's like, again, you get to be with the deities and not looking around and be focused, so it's nice. Other things, Achman has to be performed, your tilak should be performed, and your anik, should be done. What else? Cleanliness. Well, we talked about the altar. Like, it's going to be hard to dress the deities with cloth.
Oh, yeah, you can talk about the cleaning your feet.
Yeah, so beforehand, cleaning your feet is very important because you might be walking with your shoes on, walking everywhere, going to the bathroom. So if you're going to go onto the actual altar, just
Talk about the cloth and the slippery.
yeah, the cloth, when I went up there and did the garlands with you, I said, oh, this is a hazard. Like, you could fall if you're putting your feet on the cloth and trying to maneuver, and then you can slip. So better, you clean your feet very well. You come up here immediately. You're not spending time doing other things. You do your seva, and then afterwards you wipe down with a special cloth. That's like for that. And yeah, so cleanliness is important. Obviously, I mean, I hope I don't have to say this, but like if you go to the bathroom, especially number 2, you are not clean, so you should definitely take a shower. Those clothes, I mean, yeah, that's a whole other class of like bathroom kata of how to actually
Even if you
be
eat,
a brahmin.
right?
Technically, yes. If pujaris are eating with their cloth, they can't do pujari seva. Now that's a high standard. Other things, a lower standard that you can apply is as long as you don't drop prashadam on your clothes, because then they become prashadi and remnants, and you can't be on the altar with that.
How do you reach for that standard when you have multiple sevas to do?
So, like I said, if you're gonna wear that cloth, if you're eating, don't drop prashadam all over you. Be really clean when you eat and intentional so that it doesn't become soiled and that you can do your service.
I'm actually thinking of like showering after every time you go to the bathroom. I'm just thinking about myself less. I don't do so much pujari seva, but I'm
Right.
thinking there's so many pujaris here that I'm at, and our pujaris tend to have like 20
Things.
30 sevas.
Well, I'll have to say with Didi's, you have to shower.
Okay.
There's no.
There's no way around it.
If you're going book distribution, maybe that's some other thing. But like in the temple, and I'm talking about going to the bathroom number 2, mostly. Yeah, not if you're just going to the bathroom, that's the other thing. But if you're just passing water, but no, you have to. That is just like no. Have to be clean, and there are rules and a whole procedure of how you actually shower properly. This is like what in the mat you learn, like how to actually become a human being.
Can you talk about that? How to shower?
That'd actually be great.
Okay, well, you're supposed to not go to the bathroom with your clothes on, meaning with those clothes that you're going to put on again. So you can have, I should ask my husband, he's more expert because he's very good at these kind of things. I know Didi's has mentioned like having a gamsha on, so you're not completely naked for the demigods to see you, but you're basically not going to go to the bathroom in your clothes. Figure out what you're going to wear, what you're going to do. You go to the bathroom, you wash with water with your left hand.
You bathe yourself with your left hand?
No, like in the toilet. You have to clean your
I thought you were talking about
backside. No, not. You have to clean your backside. Now, again, if this hand is all messed up, you're not going to touch your right hand. You have to be you clean this hand with soap. Then you go into the shower and you clean yourself, soap everything. If it's winter and there's problem, you won't have that problem here in Miami. But some people do half bath. That's not for pujaris, but in an emergency situation where you have a bucket and you don't have like a shower, you clean yourself from the navel down. Right. Of course, there's Ganges and there's Apavitras and there's Archan, but that is not for pujari seva.
Okay.
None of that is pujari seva. When you have installed deities, you're taking a shower. Like when we had power out, we melted the snow and I took a shower. I was like, I'm not touching the deities until I'm clean.
Do you put back
Isn't
on
that
full
slow
tilak on every spot afterwards too, or you just do forehead and?
It depends if you're pujari. If you're not a pujari, I don't. I'll just do, I'll just do the top tilak. You can do tilak with mantra, you can do tilak with achman. You don't have to do it with the sandal.
Okay.
So you can just say, okay, you can just say the prayers also, or with water, achman, if you're in a rush. There's like many standards, especially if you're traveling and doing a lot to say, you can't be like impractical.
It's the balance of like, it sounds like going to the bathroom's now an hour-long endeavor, that it's like.
No, you can get it down to science.
Yeah.
I get it done real quick. It's practice.
Cool.
Yeah, but just the pujaris, and this is why the pujaris specifically, they schedule their timing in such a way where their passing and everything is perfectly in time. So that's a regulation is very important. You're supposed to go to the bathroom in the morning right when you wake up, then you don't have to worry about it. But if it's like all at odd times, then you're messed up. Like if you're dressed in a deity, you have to go to the bathroom, it's like the worst thing. So you have to learn how to regulate your schedule in a way where your bowel movements, everything is like not a disturbance, but actually, and that's why we have temple life, to create the schedule. And it actually works. If you don't eat too late, all of these things, it's like this, we learn how to be human beings and clean.
How do we balance that with the temple schedule? Like our temple schedule, like prasada is almost always at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. This also doesn't apply to my practice, but it applies to everybody else in the temple.
This is, I mean, every temple has their challenges with that, and I think it's just an individual. I mean, talk to Dili, discuss what you guys, if you need to adjust things, you can, but you have to take care of your personal, like, you know your body, you know what your services are, and like, ultimately, you got to preach more and get more people. And then you won't have the problem. That's like what we feel too. Like there's so much service I have.
There are more people that teach how all the standards and rules of
Or you could just bring some Indian devotees.
Well, that's important, is that not just new devotees, but training is very important so that more people can do services. That's
how did you develop the consciousness to recognize that a regulative lifestyle is imperative to
when I became Pujari. I mean, even before that, obviously, I've recognized that seeing Srila Gurudev. Look how regulated he is. Look at Srila Prabhupada, regulated. Their book sevas at the same time. Their eatings at the same time. Even Srila Prabhupada, if you would bring hot chapatis too late, digestion finished. He would reject them. The Vaishnavas, you'll see that those who are full of anurag, they follow more rules and they're more regulated. You know, people think, oh, I don't need the rules, we're just Raganuga. No, if you look at the pure Vaishnavas, they're following more. But it's not because they're attached to the rules. They're so deeply in their services that it's imperative. They don't waste a single moment. So we want to start to get our life in that way, following in their footsteps, slowly. We can't jump. But that's why Pujari Seva and these Sevas help us get into that schedule, help us, that's why I love living in a temple. Because otherwise, if I lived on my own, I'd be eating anytime, doing whatever, and then it's just like, it creates a waste of time. You just waste a lot of time because you're not regulated. You need that support of the community and the temple and sadhus to keep you in line. Any other questions? Yeah.
So when you mentioned washing our feet before going on the altar, is that like with soap and water, or can we sprinkle water?
No, soap and water is good.
Okay.
Just in
And
case.
sometimes brush, the way these people have such full feet.
Sometimes scrub and brush. Yeah, and also one thing about socks. This is a few things. I liked how you had, and a few things I noticed at this temple. You had the asan. This is proper. Pujari should always have their own asan to stand on when they do arti, and when they do anek. Actually, technically, everybody should have their own asan to do Gayatri. There's a significance of having your own seat, and you do your mantras on that seat every day. That seat ends up being very potent and powerful. So these are getting into more details, but
Why does it get more powerful if you have your own seat?
well, you're supposed to have your own seat when you do your Gayatri. Not that it gets more powerful, but it's that place. It creates that space and place where you do it every time, and there is some significance about that.
Yeah, as opposed to sharing.
As opposed to sharing, there's other moods in people's seats. There's other things happening. I'm going to be honest with people. We have periods. We have all these kind of things, and we're all over the place. Especially brahmacharis, if they have their own seat that nobody sits on, and they do their Gayatris, the level of their mantra is different. So these cleanliness rules are, they are there. It's very candid. This talk is like, filmed. I'm sorry. But it is what it is, because why all these rules are there? It affects our consciousness. It affects our we don't even know. Juta. People say, oh, but I'm eating a spoon. My hand is not clean. My hand is clean. I can just touch people. No, your energy, your mood is all in that. And you're just transferring it everywhere to everybody. We want to contain our moods and also not disturb other people's moods by spreading our mood all around. So, that's like one way to see it. That's how I see it sometimes.
I'm just laughing, like, our temple life is like the total opposite, like spread our mood everywhere.
Well, no, you spread Guru's mood. Not our mood, my mood. I don't spread my mood. My mood's contaminated. I'll spread Guru's mood everywhere. I'm just saying that's the difference.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, perfect.
With remnants and juta and these kind of things. Yeah.
When we shower, we can use both hands to clean our
Yeah, you can use both. I'm just saying once you've cleaned your backside, you're not going to start
you're not
touching
gonna-
yourself everywhere.
yeah,
You know, it's like, think about it. Clean that hand and now you can.
Okay.
And that's only your left hand, just so you
Yeah,
can-
your left hand. Yeah.
One other thing I was gonna ask
Yeah.
is when you, let's say you drop something that belongs to Takarji
Yeah.
or someone, like article on the ground, do you?
Achman.
Achman's okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
Achman's okay. And touching to your head, your Achman.
Okay.
If we're new to Archan and we want to start developing a relationship, like I'm immediately thinking, oh, Giriraj Sheila would be great for me. Like Guru Maharaj said, worship Giriraj every day. My challenge is that noontime is when I'm most like
You
variable.
don't have to do noon.
Oh, okay, cool.
Morning.
Morning,
Giriraj morning.
evening?
Morning, evening.
Okay.
Home worship is different than temple worship, which is why I gave the whole schedule for temple, because the temple is showing, is the educational center for people to understand the highest thing that our Guruvar has to give, which is why it's connected to Ashtakali Leela, all the timings. But if you're at home or you have your personal Shila, morning and evening, bus.
Is it okay to bring him here in the morning and then bring him
You,
back at night?
it's not me to do that.
Oh.
It's not for me.
Oh.
That's not
What are
for
you
me.
talking about?
If I wanted to worship Giriraj and have a Giriraj Sheila, could I leave him here in the morning and then bring him home at night so I could practice Archan morning here and Archan evening there?
Why would you wanna do that when you're not getting much, and so many shears here?
So
So you can worship Giriraj here.
I guess to establish a personal relationship and have a sense of like, this is mine.
Well, that's up to you. This is a longer conversation.
Then go to India and get it over done.
Yeah, let's talk
Okay.
about that's more
Do you
personal.
think the Santo will get?
Wait, can we get, let's not get any more questions. That's like more
Jokes
personal.
aren't that good.
I understand what you said about like, you know, we shouldn't spoil Lord Chaitanya's moon with the peacock feather thing.
Yeah.
But then you said that in the same kind of sentence, not same sentence, but you were saying also that we should have separate altars. Your Guru Maharaj told you in your house that
Yeah.
we should have different, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
But we can see like Bhaktisiddhanta when he established Gaudiya mats, and even if some
Mahaprabhu
Mahaprabhu-
Radhakrishna is fine.
that's fine then, okay,
Nityananda, when you add Gornitai,
okay.
they need to be separate.
But
Yeah.
Mahaprabhu is okay
Mahaprabhu and Radhakrishna are the same.
because he's showing,
They're the same.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's our very unique Gaudiya Vaishnava Thakurji. Like in other places you see Krishna, other places Radha Krishna, other places, but Mahaprabhu Radha Krishna, these three, this is our main Ishtadev.
So you can't have Radha Krishna and Gaunitai then. It has to be just Mahaprabhu.
Yeah, there has to be
Yeah.
there has to be separation. But if you have Mahaprabhu Radha Krishna, no problem. Don't need separation. Like we have here, they're together.
Are you will?
Yeah.
Back in the 70s, sometimes the devotees asked Prabhupada about having separate deities in their home. And Prabhupada said, no, because it will take you away from the central consciousness of the
Ah,
temple.
that's really nice. Yeah, and Gurudev also said worshipping Seva Kunj picture. I mean, everything is there in Seva Kunj. Everything. So that's why the Archan is not just physical, there is the Manasi aspects. And you can develop deity worship in a very simple way through the mind and through very few articles, little lamp, fire, incense. You don't need to make it complicated at home. And that's why primarily today I was speaking about temple standard.
Like Srila Prabhupada, he only established Gaunitai. He never established Gaur Gadadhar. But I know in Gaudiya Mat, you know, that's kind
This
of,
is that's a whole other topic.
is that something that's accepted in
Yeah.
your Sangha that we can
Yeah,
speak
we're good at her, but it's just more advanced. They're bhajan vigraha. They're like for those who are advanced. So Gornitai is merciful for all the Patita Pavan, for all the Patita Jivan people.
Yeah.
Lower, yeah. Gorgadadhar are more
Oh yeah, that was.
exalted, meaning it's more intimate. It's a bhajan ishtadev.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you, like, you know, in the beginning of your talk, you said the deities are like external manifestations of the pure devotee's heart.
Yes.
Could you say something more about that?
Yes, many people think that we do idol worship, other cultures. But they don't understand what Sri Vigraha is. And this is described in Jaiva Dharma. So if you want to understand more, you read Jaiva Dharma. That, for example, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he worshipped Shalagram, many Shalagrams. Shalagram personally manifests as Radharaman. He manifested to be worshipped by Gopal Bhatta Goswami, but that is because that's the form of that inside Gopal Bhatta Goswami wants to come out to give benefit to the rest of the world, to show Gopal Bhatta Goswami's love and relationship. So it's only pure devotees that are able to manifest Sri Vigraha only.
Is that form inherent to the Swarup?
No, to their specific, why is it called Radha Govinda, Radha Gopinath, Radha Madhamohan? They're all different names because each and every one of the associates have a different relationship with their Ishtadev. So there's slightly different quality, slightly different form. Krishna is most beautiful when he's in front of Radharani and the gopis. Why? Because of their mood. Their mood brings out his form. So it becomes kind of interesting. It's not like he's just already there. Their love makes him that beautiful. So it's a pure devotee manifests their vigraha from their heart. That's what, when Gurudev asked Shamandidi to paint his heart, that is coming from his heart. That is vigraha. That's why we worship the picture also. It is vigraha, non-different. And so we're not recommended to go to Loy Bazaar and buy our deities.
I was actually not going to say, but this is now getting...
Should be given by a devotee, by Shem, because How do we bring the Lord into our home and our life? You have to have someone who has a relationship with Him.
It's off topic. It's
Okay.
like it's related, but it's
We can
not
talk
about
later,
Archan.
We can
What
talk
is
about
the standard
it.
that
Off camera.
What is the standard that you follow when you do Shringara Seva? Do you bathe every time? Because there's this
Good
one.
question.
There was one devotee who was a pujari in ISKCON for 30 years. She said that every time, well, they also dress more often, but basically every day they just did wipe them with a dry cloth.
Yeah.
But on festival days they did more elaborate waterings.
Yeah, I mean, that's up to the temple. What we do, we dress only once a week. Now, we don't have marble, and I know there is some consideration of marble deities. If there's too much water, it can create damage. And also, like Jagannath is wood. You don't put a lot of water, or neem, gornitai can ruin them if you're doing too much water. But what we do is a wet cloth, and then I dry them. And I massage them also. So like in Radha Kunj, they have marble deities. They do full massage, oil massage, full bath, full drying, and full shringar. But that is like, not even ISKCON does that, which is pretty crazy that they do that. It's like a really nice standard, and they have Panchatattva. It's like a lot of deities, if like 30 pujaris. But that's different.
Okay.
Ultimately, yeah, just simple. Some people do, there's a mirror bath also, where you just show the mirror, and they get and you bathe with the mirror, and they're getting bathed through the mirror. So there's different baths. That's up to you, based on the deities themselves and what's practical. Yeah, but that's why Shalagram is done every day. Because you can't, with the big deities, you can't practically bathe them all the time. So that's why the bathing happens every day with them.
So it kind of like represents.
It represents, it represents the deities, the whole picture. Okay, Jai, thank you all so much. One more.
Okay, maybe I'll ask you later.
Okay, we can ask later. And again, like, please forgive me for any mistakes. This is just from what I've seen, what I've experienced, and it's actually a very personal thing. Despite all the rules and everything, it's such when I got into it, I'm like, wow, this is so sweet. It's actually really sweet, deity worship, and it shouldn't be a stress, ultimately. And yeah, it's important to have more than one pujari, it helps, but it's such a golden opportunity to serve the divine couple directly, like with their, but also, speaking of that, we never serve independently from Guru. And we always know that we're assisting Guru in all of this. That's actually one other quick point. In some temples, they offer everything to Guru first, and then to Radha Krishna, because they think, oh, he's doing everything, so then we offer to first. But our mood of what I've learned is you offer everything to Radha Krishna knowing that Guru is guiding, and then you offer him the remnants of that. And Gurudev himself, I made a garland for him, and I was about to give it to him. He's like, did you offer it to Radha and Krishna? I said, no, I didn't. And he's like, go offer it now. And it became like a thing. He asked me a few times every time I made a garland. He's like, did you offer? So that's their mood. They don't want to take it first.
Yeah.
You have to think of mood also.
Just a quick one on that. Our meditation on that Gurudev is making the offering, is it that is Gurudev himself manifesting separately here and actually making the offering, or is that we understand that we are a vehicle and Gurudev is presently using us? Okay.
We are the vehicle, and under his guidance, we are doing.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And I mean, we can get into more deep thing. Ultimately, if you have realized the Sakhi form of your Guru and everything, you're doing all these services to Radha Krishna as a Sakhi under your Guru Sakhi. That's like, that's a whole other thing. But right now, we're sadhaks, we're practicing, and we have no qualification. But by being connected to Guru, Vaishnavas, then we have some chance to serve the divine couple. Jai Shri Radha Mani Hari Ju ki Jai, Shri Gurudev ki Jai, Shri Baba ki Jai, Shri Swaminarayan ki Jai.
Oh yeah, I had one more question.
Okay.
Should I end it?
Yeah.
Yeah, please end it.